All right. We have Danielle, our behind the scenes ninja, who I love to bring in front of the scenes as often as I can. And so Danielle is my virtual assistant and my good friend, but she is also an astrologer, which is so exciting. And she works with a specific kind of astrology. I mean, like, traditional Western astrology, but you specialize in turning of the ages mystery school astrology, which is so cool. And we're going to have an episode that I'm sure I will be putting out before this. So you can go back and reference that where we'll talk more about what the system is on the whole and how it works. But today we're specifically talking about your Venus placement, which Danielle is really passionate about. Makes so much sense with her scorpionic influences because this goes so deep. And then we're also talking about the Mars placement too and how that plays into stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Awesome.
exactly.
All right. So to get started, what does Venus normally mean in Western astrology for people who aren't familiar? And how is that different I'm going to call it totems. I don't know if that's what you guys call it.
Yeah, yeah. So originally it was called shamanic astrology, but now it's called turning of the ages, but they do go by totems. So yes, perfect. So in Western astrology, it really is all about that beauty material realm for Venus. Like it's really kind of keeping her in this little box, right? So in totems, it's about more than just like romance and all of that. It is the fullest expression of the sacred feminine. It is much Kali as it is Aphrodite. There's like this range. So with knowing the Venus cycle, it's like well, even knowing just Venus in general, it's like there's so many more faces of her than just that goddess of love face. So that's really what is different that I see from Western astrology to totems.
Nice.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And another note here too with Western astrology, even with that, it's not all about romance and love. And I actually, the reason I'm saying that is I saw this video of this girl who's an astrologer, and she wasn't like upset, but she was very clearly irked at the fact that there was this Venus return happening, or it was Venus retrograde that was happening. She was like, "Your ex is not necessarily coming back, okay? That is not all Venus is about. It's also
Right.
about values and money."
Right?
Yeah.
Because it does get put into like that like specific box of and it's just it's so much more and when we start looking at it through that lens of so much more, it just gives us range of
It
the sacred feminine.
expands. Yeah,
Yes.
there's so much cool stuff in your Venus placement. So I'm so excited. All right. So there is something very unique to totems, which is called the Venus myth. And I had never heard of this kind of thing before talking to Danielle. So can you clue us in to what this even is?
Yeah, so I learned all of this through, well, it's Turning of the Ages, right? But it's also specifically Venus Alchemy with originally it was Tammy Brunk and Kaylin Castell. Now it's Sheridan Semple, who is my mentor in astrology. And what I have learned is that there is an entire story, and it's actually the oldest story of humankind, which is the tale of Inanna. It's about 5,000 years old. It is about the ancient Sumerian goddess Innana, who is queen of heaven and earth, and the whole story. And I actually have a slideshow.
Ugh.
So very Virgo.
Never have I heard words I love more. I actually have a slideshow.
It's yeah, because it's actually better to see this all played out because it is a 19-month cycle and there is a lot to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen and we're just gonna get right into it.
Hit me with it. Hit me right in the face with this.
All right, so again, this is the 19-month Venus cycle, and it's the myth of Inanna, which is the ancient Sumerian goddess, and it is a tale of death and rebirth. This is how it goes. Inanna hears the great call from the below, and it is her sister Ereshkigal. This is gonna feel a lot like Drunk History. Have you ever watched that?
I watched Drunk History.
Okay,
Yes.
great.
Wait,
Okay.
Danielle, did I ever tell you that I had a US history blog like 10 years ago?
What? No.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Basically,
was,
Drunk History?
well, it was inspired by Drunk History. And I was like, I could do something like this. I could have fun with this. And it was called History Buffoon because, like, history buff, but
Oh, I
also
didn't.
an idiot. So,
All right, so this is going to be drunk history style. So here we go.
I
All
love
right,
it.
so she hears the great call from below, which is her sister, who is the queen of the underworld, and her husband has died. So she's like, Anana, like he's died. Come down for the funeral. And this is like the bravest thing, right? That Anana's like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go. So she dresses up in her, her queen vestments, her crown, her breastplate, the whole thing. And she tells her assistant, like, yo, if I don't come back for 3 days, like, please send help. Something has gone terribly wrong if I do not come back.
Text
So,
me. Text
yeah.
me and check it. Check my location. Sorry, I love that you called her her assistant. Her VA.
Her VA. Exactly. That's exactly right. Her VA. Yo, like, right. So she gets to the first gate, and this is surprising to Anana because the gatekeeper was like, so you need to give me your crown. Like, you need to give me one of your vestments. She didn't know that she was going to have to do this, and she doesn't know that she'll get it back. And what this gate is the first Venus Moon conjunction. So now this is called the descent or the morning star, where she begins this descent into the underworld. So this is all of our chakras, and each of these gates is the Venus Moon conjunction. So when Anana's going down, she is going to the crown chakra, the throat chakra, all the way down. So that's basically what's happening here. Just Cosmo, Venus, Moon conjunctions. She gets to, I'm going to read out all of the gates because I think it really is important to know. So she gets to the second gate, which is her third eye. And then this is releasing all of her distorted ways of seeing. This could be seeing as divine, right? So basically what's happening is she's shedding all of these distorted ways of being with each chakra. So when she gets to the throat chakra, it's about releasing the ways that she is not using her voice, her solar plexus, and it's about her power. So at each of these, she's giving up all of that. And it comes through giving up her vestment. So she goes all the way down, heart, solar, sacral, and then she gets to this down here, and it's the gate of death by intent. So this is when she knows, like, she's gonna die. Like, she's going now into the underworld. So this whole thing lasts 260 days. So this is a pretty long part of the cycle. And then now she is in the underworld. And this is when Innana dies because she gets down and her sister is there, Ishkigal, queen of the underworld, and she kills her. And then she hangs her on a meat hook. So she just went through like all of this for Ishkigal to be like, yeah, and you're gonna die. So she kills her. And of course the VA is like, oh shit, like it's been 3 days. Like, so she goes and gets help from a god who makes beings from underneath his fingernail. And these beings are able to go into the underworld and they bring the water of life and the food of life to Innana. And they find Ereshkigal. They get down there and Ereshkigal is like hysterical. And she's just like, my husband is dead. And they're like, wow, your husband is dead. I've killed my sister. Yeah, like, wow, you've killed your sister. And they're just mirroring back to her compassion and empathy. And it's the first time she's ever felt heard and seen. So she's so deeply moved by this that she says, I will give you whatever you want. And she starts like naming things off. They're like, no, no, no. And they're like, we want a Nana. Like, that's what we really want. And she said, you can have her. There are some other little things, that's a different part of the story, that are like stipulations. This food and water, she comes back up and she's now alive again. And now she needs to climb back up out of the underworld. Can we just take a moment to like think about that moment that she looks at her sister like,
That's what I was
like, what?
thinking. Bitch, for real? Wait, did she ever explain? Does Ishkigel, what's her name?
Ereshkigal.
Ereshkigal. Okay, I got half of that. Does Ereshkigal ever explain why she killed her? Did she like trick her
Yeah.
and by she pulled her down that was she jealous of her? Like what the fuck's going on?
Yeah,
Okay,
she's jealous of her, right? Because she's queen of heaven and earth. Like
got
she
it.
is living a much more magical life. Plus, her husband has died. Like she's lost her shit. So
Did a
she,
man write this myth? Because this is typical men portraying women always against each other
right?
bullshit.
And that they're hysterical,
And then
right?
they're hysterical. And that
Right?
their life revolves around a man.
Right? Exactly. Totally.
My
Okay.
husband died, now I'll kill my sister. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
But the cool thing is about the story, like, is that it really is, even though it sucks, like that she went down, her sister has killed her, it is for her highest and best. So that's the little the silver lining of this because she's now released all of this. All of the and the Morning Star energy is very it's fire, but it's also very maiden. And it's also like I don't want to say naive, but kind of, right? So the evening star phase starts, she's now like more mature. She's gonna like think about things a little bit more when she's like given opportunities to go into the underworld. She might be like, hold on, I might not want to do that.
Mhm.
But okay, so now she's going to rise up out of the underworld. This is the ascent or the evening star. And this, she has to go back up all through the chakras again. And all of, this is the great, she gets all her investments back.
I was about to ask. I was like, I'm sure those are expensive.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the image of Aphrodite coming up out of the water and she has like a red cape on and there's like angels around her? It's like an ancient,
No, I don't think I've ever seen that. All I can imagine right now is the Venus de Milo, which I know is not what you're talking about.
I think it is. But
Really? Wait, was she's in the seashell?
yeah, and
Oh
she's like,
yeah, yeah, I've seen the Venus
yeah,
de
yeah, yeah.
Milo.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yes. Okay, so she's getting this red robe. You'll see like one of the angels or whatever, the beings is giving her her red robe. That is her right here getting her red robe back.
Mm.
Her sacral, or I'm sorry, her root chakra vestment back. So she climbs up all the way, and now she's reclaimed healthier relationships with each of these chakras. And now she is again takes 260 days. Okay, this is the cool part. So now she is more mature, and now she's going to go into her cocoon. And this can last 7 to 8 days, but this is when the sun, like Venus is like the underworld, she's now like kind of swallowed up by the sun. But this one lasts a much shorter time than the 60 to 90 days of the actual underworld. And then this is when she's cocooning. So we just had this happen actually for us last month in March when Venus was retrograding. This is what was happening. So she now is going to become a new goddess and the cycle will restart. So for us, we just left Leo, that which was my fifth Venus return. So that was the goddess that was on stage for 19 months. And now it is Aries Pisces, which is water and fire, which is very interesting. It's a whole other topic. But anyway, that is who now is on stage. So that's the cycle. And I want to show you where you were born, in case you were wondering.
Wait, before we do, can I ask a little bit about like how this works with the transits, just so people understand?
Yeah, so the transits as far as the retrogrades.
Just the, yeah, Venus in general, like how this works. Like how does this 19th month cycle, like the metaphor that we see here, the myth that
Yeah.
we see here, how does that relate to transits?
So just basically, this is when she goes retrograde. These
Okay.
two big pieces are retrograde when, like I said, she's like this closest to the sun. So she's closest to us on Earth here. And then this is when she's on the other side of Earth,
Okay.
a longer transit, so to speak. Does that make sense?
Okay. So and then the descent and the ascent, she's
Direct.
direct.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yep.
interesting. Okay, very cool. So during these underworld periods, like
Yeah.
how are we more likely to feel? Because I know that I had a rough March. It wasn't like I didn't have external circumstances that were rough, but emotionally I was like, crap, I'm on the floor. I feel like I told you this, Danielle.
Yeah. So when we are in the underworld, and this is for people who were born in the underworld too, there is this like place of like neither here nor there. Like everything that you would think of the underworld, it is happening collectively for all of us during that time. So that makes sense for you.
Hmm.
I'm curious if you feel like you have emerged as a new goddess or being from that experience. I mean, look at you. You know what I
I mean, do you see this coat? What do you think? Yeah, I think I definitely feel so much lighter and so much freer. And I for sure feel that I getting so much clearer on what I actually want and what I need to do to get there. So
mean?
if that answers your question, I guess
Yeah,
so. Yeah.
absolutely. That's the medicine of that time. That was perfectly said, actually. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, great. So glad.
Yeah, that's like perfect because all of this is happening collectively.
Hmm.
And there is, like I'm about to show you, where it is personal. For you, you were born, you weren't born at a chakra gate, which is actually kind of rare. So you were born, Inanna has died and is reborn. That's when you were born. You haven't yet started climbing out of the underworld. Yeah. So this can feel a very here nor there for you. Does that feel true?
Yeah. And this also relates to something I was writing in my journal the other day. I was like, I just never feel fully in. Like I never feel fully in or fully out. I feel like I'm kind of walking around in this like mist for a lot of my life. And I do get, points of clarity, but misty and like foggy have been how I feel for a lot of my life. And it's in particular with my business. I get really like into these periods where neither here nor there is a really, really good way to describe it. And I'd say I get into these periods, but it's kind of like the overarching theme I feel. And sometimes I get really frustrated with it. So it could be in part that I need to trust myself more, but it could also be in part to this being something I need to just accept about what my experience is like on this earth. And actually in Kabbalah, with my soul codes map, my soul destiny is 8-8. And that's a really big thing with the eight is never really feeling like settled or grounded on earth or really like you can fit into one place. Also like some lack of commitment sort of stuff. And this also ties back to my human design too, because with gate 32, it's like, in my opinion, it's like the most Libra gate because it's all about indecision. And what are Libras known for? Like literally not being able to make decisions because we see it from all these different angles and we're like, I don't know which one is right. What do I do? And so it's this long-term indecision. And once we do make a decision, it's about sticking to it because we're here for continuity. That's the big thing with gate 32, something that's long lasting, that has continuity, which is part of why we have that indecision beforehand, because we're like, I know once I put myself into this, this is what I'm going to be sticking to. So I want to make sure it's the right decision. And in Gene Keys, when you don't do that, you'll stay in this period of fragmentation. And I don't fragmentation is not really the right word for it. It's just discontinuity. It's feeling like you're always in stop and start. I went to a few different places, but I hope that answers your question.
No, it absolutely does because there are obviously there's the more shadowy parts, and that's what I really love about Turning of the Ages is that there's nothing's bad. There's no detriments. There's nothing. It's all for the good. So your gifts being in between, I'm going to look at my notes here for anybody that's watching me read this. So you can be a bridge. So someone who naturally connects worlds and peoples. Yes, you do that. You are adaptable. You can move fluidly between different realities and spaces. This is very you. You may not fit in the mold of, and that's also very much you.
Yeah.
This is like I'm
I'm
reading
so special.
you are so special. You can read between the lines, noticing what others may miss, because there's that read between the lines, in between kind of narrative. You may have access to many perspectives and ways of being. You may define yourself creating your own reality, never bound by others' expectations of you. Very Ariana. Okay, these are the possible challenges of this in between space. You may feel like an outsider, never really quite fitting in. You may always feel in the middle, not fully belonging to one side or the other. You might feel torn or split between different aspects of yourself or between yourself and others. You might experience being here nor there, sometimes wondering like, where am I? Who am I? Your inner world may feel obscure or hard to explain to others. You may struggle with gray areas, finding it hard to land on a clear yes or no, and you may have a tendency to avoid choosing or even feel addicted to staying uncommitted.
This is so accurate. And besides it being accurate on its own, I can connect like all of this back to my human design chart, which is just crazy to me. And it's funny because this is my Venus placement, but I see it so much with connecting to my sun, with gate 32. And also, Danielle, if you love that part of Turning of the Ages, like you are absolutely are going to love Gene Keys. I think that it makes so much sense that you want to dive into that.
I've heard that. In fact, the mystery school that I'm studying with, 13 Moon Mystery School, the foundress of it, I think I've told you this. Like, her name's Ariel Spilsbury, and Richard Rudd, is like, she's like a fairy godmother to him.
I
So
know,
it's
that's so crazy. The quote that she has from him is so cool.
right, and it just like, I love it. So I know I'm gonna love Gene Keys once I understand it.
Mhm.
You know? But anyways, okay. So that's the Venus cycle. And specifically, if we're talking about your Venus, I'm like going all in about you right now. Is that
Ugh,
cool?
I love it. But also, would it be cool if we talk about like what it's like for other people who are in the different phases, like who are morning star and evening
Yes.
star? Okay, cool.
Yeah. So for me, this is great. Thank you. I'm Morning Star.
Mm.
And I was born at the crown chakra. So wherever you're born, your chakra gate, if you have one, it's like it will behoove me to really focus on my relationship with my crown chakra through my whole life.
So cool.
I know. I know. And the morning star part, that is that maiden fire. For you, it's evening star, so it's very mature. You're gonna think about things more than me.
I
This
don't
is
know,
great.
Danielle. Everybody should get into our Voxer conversation and hear what Danielle and I talk about with each other. I think we both think a lot.
Well, but it's just like this perfect mix of us, right? Because
Mhm.
I mean, I am very like maiden energy. It's very Empress too.
I can see
Yeah.
both for you. That's really interesting. That's cool.
Yeah. But like for you, it's more like that High Priestess energy of the tarot.
Mm.
Like the very like sovereign, like, I don't know. That's how I see it. That's how I see us. Yeah. So, okay. So,
Wait, also before, sorry, I keep interrupting you, but Caitlin's boyfriend Johnny, it's funny because he kind of described me that way. And I was like, wow, I don't think I've ever been told that I am that. I mean, as someone, as a five line profile with an undefined G center, I'm always like literally like grabbing around me to find something. I'm like, is this me? Is this who I am? Like, I literally, this is the weirdest thing, but I walked through my house last night and I was like, is this what people would expect the inside of my house to look like? I have no clue. I try so hard to be self-aware and like I'm aware that I just don't see myself at all, which is also very like Neptune in the first house. But anyway, yeah, so Johnny had told me that. And so it's interesting that you say that.
I think Johnny and I are right on, personally. I really do see that. So it did not surprise me that you were Evening Star, especially
Mm.
coming up out of the underworld to Evening Star. And whereas I'm more like I'm at the other side of like she's like the she hears the great call. She's ready to go. She is like fully dressed, ready to go, and here I am. And the guy's like, give me your crown.
And your Birkin bag. You can't take it with you.
Right? It's just like so me. So yeah, okay, so anybody wherever you were born in the cycle has a lot to show you.
So cool. Okay, so we have your morning star, I'm evening star. Okay. And then we have the underworld, so that longer period of time where she's on Les Meat Hook. And then that period of time, the kind of metamorphic underworld that's actually later, and it's a shorter period of 8 days. So for those people, I'm really fascinated because I actually thought when you first were like, "Hey, guess which phase you're in," I was like, "Was it the underworld?" But so I'm very interested to hear what these people are like.
Yeah, I mean it is just the underworld, especially the longer underworld. It's going to be very, it almost is scorpionic to me. It's that deep transformational space. For me, the metaphysical or the metamorphic underworld, that is more it doesn't have that depth to me. Yes, it is kind of she's going, but she's more going in a cocoon and emerging as like a new butterfly. So it's like it's a different energy for me. That's how I see it. So I'm curious for someone who is born in the underworld if how they really do feel, if that aligns, and if they are in that other underworld, what the energy is there for them. I am genuinely curious about that.
Me too. Anybody who knows that of yourself, or like maybe you can reach out to Danielle and then find out what you are and then let us know because we are very interested to hear.
That's my favorite thing. I'm like, tell me what you think you are. Because I can actually tell.
Ooh, that's
I
not
know.
surprising to me.
I know. I like have that little secret power. I'm like, I actually do know what you already are. But yeah, anyway.
All right, well, let's talk a little bit about the zodiac sign that the Venus is in then, because we have this very unique aspect to totems where it's about the phases of the Venus cycle. But then also, we have the traditional placement and zodiac sign that's going to give it a different flavor. So I would love to hear about yours, and then I'd love to hear about mine, obviously.
Yeah, so where your Venus placement is in Totem's astrology, that is the sacred feminine goddess that you are embodying in this lifetime. So, what that means is for you, it's Scorpio. For me, it's Virgo. And the Virgo is very much the priestess energy. And she's the one who is like, Virgos always get like this thing about being like perfectionists. They're like so much more than that. They're just very aware because they're the ones who are making sure all the cycles are going for the tribe or the community. Like, okay, we've got to like start growing stuff, right? Like they were the ones who, there must be VAs, right?
Yes.
So I'm curious for you with your Venus in Scorpio, when I say like, oh, that's like the goddess you're here to embody, does that feel true for you? Because what actually is a tendency, you're Leo moon, right? So in shamanic astrology, the turning of the ages astrology, your moon is your past life PhD. It's
Mm.
not just about like the more Western astrology. It's like, no, this is what you have mastered. So you have mastered being Leo, which is very much queen energy. So that's actually what you're more comfortable with. And it'll be a little bit of a harder stretch for you to get to the Venus Scorpio.
That
Okay.
actually makes more sense to me. Because here's the thing about my Venus and Scorpio. It's not that it doesn't resonate in some ways, but a lot of it is like you want to like own someone emotionally and be so close to them and like be intertwined with them. And I'm like, not really. I mean, I like being alone. The main thing that I relate to with Venus and Scorpio is, at least nowadays, how deeply private I am about so many things, especially about like romance and relationships. Like one of the things, especially because I've been burned by this before, by people like trying to poke into my life and figure things out. I literally cut someone out of my life, not last year, I think the year before, because this person just wouldn't stop trying to dig into like my information. And I was like, literally, fuck off, fuck the fuck off. That's the main thing that I relate to. But yeah, I would love to hear more about, I mean, like I know what you've told me about this, but I would love to hear you kind of explain the Scorpio placement with Venus and how that plays. And then we can pull in the Mars too.
Yeah, yeah. So the Scorpio energy is very intense. It's very dark, alchemist like. It pushes the edges. It's magnetic, juicy energy is very Scorpio. It's not afraid to dive into the depths of the underworld and the deepest feelings as humans. It finds power and transformation in shadow work and deep emotional truth. And it follows what turns it on. So that is very much where your soul is, what your soul's trying to embody in this lifetime.
That makes so much more sense to me. And I'm going back to what you've told me about this before. Like Danielle has sent me long blocks of text on this, which I have read. I did. I perused them. I looked through them. I poured through them. But then I kind of forget because I look up a lot of stuff about, my charts and who I am and all that stuff. I'm a whore for that information. I think most people who are in this space are. We love learning about ourselves. But I really do relate to that. And I also, what's funny is there's this channel on, and she's other places too, but I follow her on Instagram. Her name's AC Brown. And she said like choose a slide on this carousel and then drop a candle emoji down below with the number of your slide, and I'm going to give you a channeled message. So I was like, all right. And so I said one candle, and it said stop fearing your sensuality, and I literally responded, dang, okay. But I
God.
do think that it's not just my sensuality, it's my depth overall, because I have always been a pretty, and I'm not saying this like deep as in I'm deeper than you, like I'm a sensitive artist. Oh my God, every guy I've ever dated. But it's more like, so I literally have a song on Spotify called Sensitive Artist, and I listen to it. I'm like, yeah, this is like every motherfucker I dated in my 20s. But for me, it's like I do have a depth that can feel kind of heavy, and I'm always told by people that I go so deep in conversation, and I'm like, this is normal to me. Like it, and so in the past, I have felt like I really have to suppress that more, and I can't share so much. I can't talk so much about it because people will either get kind of freaked out, or they'll be like, you're giving to me too much. Like you're putting too much on me with this. And in the past, I think I did do that. I did put a big responsibility on other people to like heal that feeling, whatever it was that I was feeling so deeply in myself. Now I'm like, it's not your responsibility, it's mine. So if you're not comfortable with this, that's on you and that's okay. But I'm not asking you to solve this for me. So I think that all of this is to come back to say that I'm working on integrating that and really accepting that in myself, because, you know, Danielle and I both have this. Danielle is a Scorpio and a Scorpio sun, and I have my Venus, Mars, midheaven in Scorpio. I have a lot of stuff there.
Yeah.
So we feel this energy pretty heavily because we have these strong aspects in our charts. And so I know Danielle and I, we really connect on this, besides us both being Leo moons. We really connect on the depth that we need in connection, and the depth that we need in expressing our emotions and who we are. It is such an important thing for us. And I think that I have, especially because I have such a sunny aspect to myself, which is funny. You're very much the same way, Danielle. Like we're very happy and joyful people, but there is this like, it's also very dark in this internal cave. Like it's dark
Right?
in here. So it's about trying to figure that out and balance it, because it's just so many different things.
And I think that's the stretch for us, right? It's fire, like with that Leo, it's that fire, and the stretch is now we're like more watery. Okay, so about your Scorpio, you actually were born during the 19-month cycle of Scorpio.
Hmm.
So let's just like add that on top. Like
Yeah.
all of your Scorpio, you were born in a Scorpio cycle. And what that means for anybody that's like, what does that actually mean? That was the energy that was being infused in the collective for 19 months, is that scorpionic energy.
Yeah, and that's because that's where Venus was, right?
Well, that was okay. This is good. I'm so glad you're asking that. When morning star happens, or Innana hears the great call, where the morning star rises, whatever zodiac sign, that's what it will be. So in your case, it was Scorpio.
Got it. Yeah. Makes a lot of sense that this would have such a strong influence over my chart. And I feel like it's more and more that I get told that I'm witchy. Does the same thing happen to you? Like that didn't happen as much when I was younger, but now people are like, you're a witch.
Yeah, no, I think for me, I'm sure that's what people really did know. Like that I am like that deeper thought person. I am a little bit more like I want to go deep with people very quickly, you know? So I'm sure people know that about me, which is confusing because I'm very pink too.
You are. You
I'm
and
like,
Tara are my pink ladies.
really?
Yeah, oh, Tara
Yeah.
loves pink, like hot pink. All she's all about it.
Love you, Tara. Thank you for being my pink sister.
I thank you, pink sister. All
Yeah.
right. So this is cool. So can I do want to hear more about like your Venus and Virgo though. This is really interesting.
Well, okay. My Venus and Virgo, my Mars is actually there too. So I'm going
Oh,
to talk
wait,
about
that's perfect because my Venus and Mars are both in Scorpio. Wait, I love this.
right. So it's cool because I'm going to talk about this too. Like the Mars is a sacred masculine, and obviously Venus is sacred feminine, and they have to have a sacred marriage. And what that means is that within us, we need to marry these energies. Like they need to be like clicking. So for me and you, it's easy because Scorpio, Virgo, Virgo. And once we've mastered that within ourselves, we then can go out in the world and find it. Does that make sense?
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. So sorry, to interrupt you, but so that means for me creating that sense of and owning that sense of depth in myself before going out and looking for that in another person.
Exactly what it means. Yep.
Okay.
And you're going to be attracting that masculine to you when you've married it within yourself, too. It's like
Mm.
it's going to be coming to you. So that's a sacred marriage. And for me, Mars and Virgo, it's the perfect mix doing what I do as a virtual assistant. It's cool. I bring that very Western astrology view of it, of being more like perfectionist tasks, right? And then I have my priestess energy as well. So it's like this the masculine is getting stuff done, but then I have the softer side of it too. That's, I think, the magic sauce.
That describes you so perfectly. I mean, I'm from a human design perspective, Danielle is a 4/6 with her 50/27 channel being the only channel in her chart. And that's the channel of preservation, conservatorship, and not like Britney conservatorship, like taking care of somebody, the channel of confiding Britney, of, care for the other and like what is it that the tribe really needs? It's a tribal channel. And so
Yep.
that deep care and that nourishment, it is like so very Virgo and so beautiful. And I can see all of this and how it comes together with you and the 4/6 loving their people and wanting to be there for their community. Um, oh, I absolutely love this. And I will say the one thing that I'm trying to figure out with my Mars and Scorpio, because I've heard this in traditional astrology too. It's like I saw this one video, it was so funny. The girl was like, this is the kind of fuckboy that you'll attract into your life. And I was like, is it though? Like, I don't know. And I also, maybe I'll see more of this as I really dive into it, but it's because like I love Geminis. I'm like, they're light and flitty and like don't love commitment. And they're just like, just goofy and like wordy and chatty. Like in my friends, I love Geminis. Like, Caitlin is a Gemini, obviously. And then in men, they're just so fun. And like Libras and Geminis just have this air sign kind of thing together, where they kind of like I wouldn't say they get me out of my head because Geminis are very heady people, but they just like remind me not to take life so seriously because they're just silly. They're little not tricksters, but like I always think of Hermes. Hermes is, rules Gemini, or Mercury rules Gemini. And he was always like, tee like I'm gonna put a little prank. I'm gonna, mix up a little message here. And that's the kind of thing I love. So it's funny when I think about like who I attract or who I'm interested in. Like I like kind and sweet men, but I don't know if it's like scorpionic men.
Mm. Yeah, I was wondering how that landed for you. Because my husband, he's not like a Virgo man
Hmm.
at all. So I'm it doesn't mean that is the best for this lifetime. I want to add that too. Like this
Okay.
is something I just learned. Like it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be great.
Hmm.
But it's just it's there. So it's both and.
Okay. Okay. I'm open to this. All right. I was open to learning. I was open to learning and growing and seeing, and Scorpioing.
I'm excited to talk about turning of the ages astrology because we can go so much more deep into this. It's fascinating. I know.
I am
It,
so excited for everyone to hear that. Okay, well, I think this is a really good place to wrap it up. Danielle, thank you so much. I loved talking to you about this because we've talked about this over Voxer and over text, but we've never really like sat down and had a face to face about it.
it's amazing.
Danielle's the person to go to. You're the literally the only person I know who does this.
Yeah, it's not common. It's not
Mm-mm.
common. It's such because everybody's like, "Oh, my Venus is in." And it's like actually that is such a layered. There's so many layers to where your Venus placement is. It's beautiful and it has so much to show us.
Absolutely, as we've seen from today, from this short conversation already. Well, anyway, Danielle, I love you. Thank you for doing this.
I love you. Thank you.
And everyone listening, we'll talk to you later.